this is an exciting one.
This,
I was looking forward to this.
I'm going to have to sit on my hands for this one.
Well, this is all thanks to you, brother. I appreciate what you did when you worked the Hall of Fame intro weekend. Couldn't ask you for a better guest, man. This is going to be awesome. So I'll let you do the preliminaries here of setting it up and then introducing who we have.
Okay. I'll make it as brief as I can. I met this individual on the set of Creed 2. Well, I say I met. We saw him acting in the ring. Okay.
Sure.
We didn't get the chance to meet him, but we were so taken aback by he was so cordial and so friendly to everybody. His mannerisms, he was just an amazing person. I'm like, you know what? If I ever get the chance, I want to meet that man, and I did. So without further introduction, and anybody in the boxing world will know this name, Mr. Kenny Bayless. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And there he
Where'd he go? There he is. There he is.
There we go. Technical difficulties already. That's not good.
That will happen from time to time.
I know. Kenny, welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Well, our pleasure's ours. Trust me. And we know it's early out in Nevada, so we appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to apologize. I got to apologize for that because the first time I had really talked to you, I didn't make the correlation of the 3-hour time difference. So if I called you really early, I apologize.
Oh, yeah, no problem. It happens. It happens all the time. East Coast versus West Coast. So
Yeah.
So, Tony, go ahead.
So Kenny, obviously we know that, you went to Nevada. That's where you live now as well. But you went out there, from what we read, you went out there to be a teacher.
Right. I was born and raised in Berkeley, California. And at my senior year, I was recruited actually to come to Las Vegas because it was a shortage of African-American teachers. So I jumped on the bandwagon and came out and got started. It was a total eye opener for me because when I came out, it was August of 1972, and it was hot.
Vegas hot.
Vegas hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I got past I guess you never get past the heat because it comes and it goes. But that's what brought me to Las Vegas.
What topic or subject did you teach?
Well, I taught physical education and health, and it was a new world for me because I was living at home in my mom's house up until I moved here. So there was no former experience that I had as far as work, other than little pop jobs here and there.
Yeah,
right.
Until I came here, and career-wise, I didn't know that I was going to actually go the distance, in teaching. But I did.
They call that trial by fire or on the job training.
Wow. 35 years in the school system before I retired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then where was that initial segue of into boxing? Did you yourself box?
No, I never did. I actually ran track at Cal State Hayward.
Okay.
The Division II school that I went to, and grew up watching Muhammad Ali as a kid.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to Las Vegas. I got to Las Vegas in August of 72, and in February of 73, I'm standing out in front of the convention center because Muhammad Ali is fighting a guy by the name of Joe Bugner. And I could not even afford to get into the fight back then.
Yeah.
But a good dear friend of my mom's that used to manage George Foreman walked up from me from behind and was shocked to see me there. I was shocked to see him there, and he asked me, "Did I have any tickets to the fight?" And I said no. And he reached into his inside pocket of his sports jacket
Oh
and
my
pulled
God.
out and gave me 2 tickets.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I gave one to my cousin who was standing out there with me, and we both went in, and that was the one that got me totally interested in the sport of boxing.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah,
What a
just
great story, too.
yeah.
Wow,
And to
that's
see
amazing.
Ali, I mean, that's the first professional fight you
Yeah,
see,
right,
and
you
you
know?
see Ali.
First professional fight, and it happened to be Muhammad Ali. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you,
Wow.
because we're big into Rocky. We're big Rocky fans over here and boxing and everything. But did you ever happen to, do you remember or recall watching the Ali Wepner, what the whole Rocky movie was based off of?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I did get to see the fight, and during that fight, Chuck Webner stepped on Ali's foot, which caused him not to step back.
Okay.
He actually went down, which was ruled a knockdown.
Right.
But in essence, wasn't a knockdown. But as referees, we have to call it. We don't get time to call
Right.
timeout and
Yeah.
we'll look at the monitor and
Right.
decide what the right call is. So the referee called it a knockdown. So it had to stand as a knockdown.
Sure.
That was a fight that made Sylvester Stallone say, write the script to Rocky.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you see the plaque and did you get to go through the museum? You've probably been through the Boxing Hall of Fame Museum there in Canastota.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, where they had like the brochure of the fight and, amongst many other gorgeous things that they have there,
Yeah.
It's just history. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and I know the director very well, Ed Brophy, and
yes,
they're looking to build. I don't know if it's going to be an extension to that building, but I do know that they've maxed out in that building, and they need to build another building because they got a warehouse full of stuff that's sitting to be.
I know.
Be placed homed somewhere.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten there yet.
Right. I was talking to Jeff Brophy, and I'm like, where is so and so? I was looking for Tommy Morrison's robe and boxing shoes, because we had Tricia Morrison on that not that long ago, and he's like, we hit, the building's so small, we have to rotate the stuff. I'm like, man, that's tough because there's so much good stuff that's not being seen. But I do understand the concept of rotating it so that everything gets a chance.
So everybody can see it. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so Kenny, you gave us your intro to boxing, seeing the great one as your first fight. How did it segue into you becoming a referee?
Well, what happened after that? I started attending every boxing card in Las Vegas.
Wow!
And again, just on a school teacher's salary, it wasn't like I had enough money to go to all these events. So I would just find a unique way to get in.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't afford to pay for all those fight cards that I went to. And at some point, I said to myself, what could I do to be a part of this sport? I mean, I didn't know anything about it other than sitting in the stands like a fight fan.
Sure.
Watching a fight. So I looked at all the particulars and I said to myself, well, it doesn't look like judging is that difficult. I mean, you just sit there, concentrate for 3 minutes, and at the end, you score the round and wait for the next round to start. So I got involved in the amateur program.
Okay.
The Golden Gloves. And I started, they start you out with the novice matches with the kids that are like 8 and 9 years old with 15, 16-ounce gloves and they're learning as well. So you're learning as a judge as well as the kids. So anyway, I got pretty good at it, and I still attended the professional shows, and from the second or third row from where I was sitting, I would score the fights there.
Nice.
And I got to know a couple of judges, and I would compare my score with their score.
Okay.
Round by round to just see how I was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one judge, he's passed now, but his name is Jerry Roth. And Jerry Roth, after comparing our scores, he says, "Hey, Kenny, you're in pretty good shape. Why don't you try refereeing?" And my first thought to that was, I'm not getting in that ring with And then I thought about it, and I said to myself, well, why not give it a chance? Well, Richard Steele had within the last year or so had come to Las Vegas and was roughing, and I asked him, could you show me how to referee? And he said, sure. So he took me under his wing, he took me down to the gym, amateur gym, got me in the ring, and I started moving around. Well, moving around wasn't a problem for me because of, my track and field background, but
sure.
Knowing what to look for when fighters engaged, that was the lesson learned. And so that summer, being that I was a teacher, I had summers off. So being that I never fought, I would go down to the gym 3-4 times a week and get in the ring while fighters were sparring, or if they wasn't even a fighter in the ring, I just moved around in the ring to train myself visually where the red corner was, where the blue corner was. You have to know where the fight doctor is. You got to know where the commission table is. There's a lot that the mind has to be focused on, as well as the fighters in the ring.
Sure, sure.
So I did that to the point to where now at the amateur Golden Gloves, I'm doing refereeing and box or judging. So I'm doing both.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you picked one hell of a mentor with Richard Steele.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very famous name right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So the same thing when I climbed into the ring the first time as an amateur referee. I started out with the novice kids, the kids that had the 16-ounce gloves on.
Yeah.
And worked my way from the novice to the junior Olympics, all the way up to the open division. And I was, I felt a love for it. And between Las Vegas and then also going to Reno, doing the fight cards there. And then when I did the Golden Glove Nationals, which happened to be in Miami, Florida, was when I knew that I was on my way, because at the amateur Golden Gloves Nationals, they have 3 rings set up. And one ring has a bell, the second ring has a horn, the third ring has a whistle. And in the first day, there were probably over 200 or 300 matches.
Wow.
And you got that horn going off in one ring, and you have to focus on the ring you're in. If it's the ring with the bell, or the ring with the horn, or the ring with the whistle. So it takes a lot of concentration just on that alone.
Sure.
So I did well, and the only thing left in the Golden Glove Amateurs was to become an AIBA official. And the AIBA officials are the top-notch officials in the amateurs. But I didn't want to be an AIBA official. I wanted to be a professional, because that's who I was, with working with Richard and still going to the professional shows. I had that thirst to want to be a professional. And then along the way, I became an inspector with the Athletic Commission. So now I'm there ringside, in the dressing rooms with the fighters, ringside with the fighters. And now I can study Richard Steele, Mills Lanes, Joe Cortez,
Nice.
Referees that were roughing and that were licensed in Nevada. I had the opportunity to watch and study them up close and decide and kind of pick my own style from watching best in Las Vegas.
And those are some big names you're throwing out there.
Yeah.
And you're right in there with them. So
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Please continue.
So when the time came, so now I'm just waiting for the appointment to become a professional referee, because at that point everybody knew who I was. Now there was another amateur referee that his name was Dave Moody, and Dave Moody was had worked at the art of refereeing just like I did. He was a very good referee. But Dave Moody, his regular job, he was a Metro police officer.
Oh.
And he just did not want to pursue being a professional referee. So that just kind of put me in a position where the next appointed referee would be me, because I was the only guy, at that point in time.
Sure.
But a sad thing happened, and this was my first learning experience into politics, because when the time came for me to be picked, which everybody knew it was going to be me, they appointed someone else.
Really?
Yeah. And it just, the top of my head blew off. I mean, I could not believe that this was happening, because everybody knew it was supposed to be me.
Sure.
But again, it was politics, and I was very upset behind it. You can imagine there were a few choice words that came out of my mouth that should not have come out of my mouth. And I wasn't making the situation better. I was making my situation worse. And so ultimately what I did was write a letter that I was going to send to all the commissioners. We have 5 commissioners in the state of Nevada. And I wrote this letter to send to them. But I had a lot of hate in that letter because of how upset I was. And my wife read the letter and she said, if you send that in, you will never become a referee. So she took the letter and she cleaned it up. And I sent it in. And I get a call back, or well, not a call back, I got a letter back from one of the commissioners that said that the commission was fair and honest, and we're putting you on the agenda so that you can get a chance to express yourself. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to express myself, all right. I'm going to drop a bomb on you is my plan. It's still with that hatred in my heart. And I had 2 individuals come up to me and say to me, be careful what you say in this meeting. Be careful. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm the victim here and I have to be careful.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, when the meeting came up, I was sitting there all poised and relaxed as they were going through the agenda. And when they got to me on the agenda, one of the commissioners started out that I was, well, first the executive director, and he says, Kenny Bayless as an inspector is loved by many athletes. When Larry Holmes and Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler and these top-notch fighters come to Las Vegas, they request to have him in his dressing room. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, this meeting his hearing is not going too bad. I mean,
Yeah.
saying all this good stuff about me. So
Right.
kind of sitting there with a smile on my face. And then it was like the pendulum swung from one side to the
Oh
other.
no.
And then they started in on me saying how negative I was and how attitudinal I was. And I'm sitting there and my heart's starting to race. And I'm saying to myself, oh boy, here it comes. And so I sat there, and each person, commissioner, they said everything they wanted to say, and I just sat there. And it made me think about the two individuals that said to me, be
Mhm.
careful what you say.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when it came time for me to speak, I stood up. I said, listen, I make no excuses for my behavior. I was upset because I felt that I should have been appointed. I put all these years in,
Right.
dedicated years in, not only in the Golden Glove Amateurs, but as an inspector. And so I said my piece and I sat back down, and it got quiet in the room. I mean, no one said a word.
Oh
And then,
jeez.
and then one of the commissioners says, well, then let's just vote on it right now,
Oh
which
boy.
kind of caught me off guard.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they voted 5-0 to put me on as a referee.
Oh wow.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, yeah. So that's uh, uh, how initially how I
Wow.
eventually got on the commission. And at that point, I'm thinking that all the stuff that led up to this is over now, and I can move on. But then a couple of weeks later, I met with one of the commissioners, and the commissioner said this to me. He was very frank and was very honest. He said, "Listen, you have 2 strikes against you already." And I'm looking at him with the look of, shucks, I haven't even gotten in the ring yet.
You're right. I just voted in. What happened?
Yeah, I just got voted in, and you're telling me that I got 2 strikes against me. And he said it just as clear. He said, your first strike is that you're black, and your second strike is that you're educated. And he
Oh,
said, they'll have you do 4 and 6 round fights for the next 10 years. And I'm looking at him with the look of,
Disbelief.
I thought that I got out of the frying pan, but it
yeah.
appears that are out of the fire to the frying pan, or
Yeah.
whichever way that saying
Yeah.
goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of hate generated at me, and as far as the 4 and 6 rounds for the next 10 years, that was the path that I was on, and I
Really.
was getting very, very frustrated from it, very
Mhm.
frustrated from it. And as much as I talked to people, to to have a voice. The key thing was that it wasn't that my performance in the ring wasn't bad, because I had spent over 12 years in the amateur program. It's like a boxer that's had 200 or 300 fights in the amateurs, and when he moves up to the pros, he's somewhat pretty well seasoned
Mhm.
Sure.
because of the number of fights he's had.
Yeah.
Well, for the number of years I had, I was pretty well seasoned
Mhm.
when I finally got in the ring. But anyway, um, those years were very rough for me, because I wasn't getting any love. Um, when I did get a 8 or a 10, it could be because of, other referees were either out of town, and they had
Mhm.
no choice but
Mhm.
to pick me, and or there were enough title fights on the card that they had to give me one.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was the only way I was getting them. So as much as I barked about it, and I did a lot of barking, it didn't do any good. So I was actually trying to talk myself into quitting. And my wife would look at me and she'd say, hey, listen, from the days of sneaking into the fights, you at least get into the fight for free. You get the best seat in the house. And that didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, right.
I was pushing to, to move up the ranks like I did in the amateurs. And if I'm making mistakes and I'm not doing right, then tell me and I'll correct it.
Sure.
But that wasn't the case. My work was clean and it was fair.
Yeah. It wasn't performance based, and that's the crappy part.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I got to the one evening after a fight card. I had went out with some of the officials, and I'm still barking about assignments and why I'm not getting my opportunity. And one of the judges that was there at the dinner with us said, she says, Kenny, there isn't anything we can do about fight assignments. She said, the only thing we can do is just put it in the hands of the Lord. And when she said that, it wasn't like I didn't know it because I've been a Christian all my life. Mm-hmm. It's just that what was going on in my life at the time outweighed me even thinking clear enough to say, put it in the hands of the Lord.
Sure.
And after she said that, I still thank her today. It gave me peace to just say, I'm not going to worry about this anymore. Mm-hmm. Focus more on my work in the ring. So when that opportunity time comes, I'm ready. Because I already felt that I was ready anyway, but still, right. I let it go. I had peace at that point, and thinking that things can only get better for me at the time. Things got worse because I did a fight at the Orleans. Shucks, it was probably 2 or 3 years later. And in the second round, this fighter got hit with a shot. And it was like someone walking over to the light switch and turning the light switch off. When he got hit, everything turned off. And before he hit the canvas, he was out.
Oh, boy.
When he hit the canvas, his head hit the mat because, usually if a fighter is if it's a flash knockdown or a second degree knockdown, he'll catch himself. He'll put his hands back and catch his fall. This kid did not put his hands back. And when I looked into his eyes while he was on the canvas, I could see his pupils going up to the back of his head.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
I stopped the fight. The doctors got in. They examined him. They got the stretcher in, took him to the hospital. He was suffering from a cerebral hematoma, which is bleeding of the brain. Mm-hmm. They opened him up. They stopped the bleeding. They sewed him back. The bleeding started back, and he died.
Oh, man.
And that hit me so hard that I didn't know if I wanted to referee anymore. Mm-hmm. It was just one of those fluke things, but it happened. It wasn't like he went 8 or 9, 10 rounds of a beating or anything.
Right.
One shot did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank my colleagues at the time because, I was in tears. That's just how hard it hit me. And so I had different officials calling me up and just being a shoulder for me because I didn't know if I wanted to continue. And then the executive director called me up and I was crying on the phone to him. And he said, look, we got a fight card in 2 weeks. You're going to be on that fight card. So get yourself together because 2 weeks is not that far away.
Right.
And again, that's where I had to kind of look up to the Lord and ask for strength because I knew if I'd have got in the ring and did a poor job, then my career could have been ended on that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But the opposite happened. I got in the ring and I did a job, and my career continued. Um, um, Believe it or not, there were a couple of more ring deaths, not like that one, where I stopped the fight and the fans booed me for stopping it. And 2 days later, that fighter that I stopped the fight on passed.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of later talk about what us officials and how we're trained to do what we do. We're always trained to stop it too soon than too late.
Sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just watching a replay of a fight, and I apologize, I don't remember the name, where the boxer got hit in the back of the head with a
Yes.
punch,
Yes.
and he went down, and he's not paralyzed, but he's lost his
equilibrium or
everything. He's kind of like, I can't think of the word, but
disoriented or
yeah, he took a shot in the back of the head. It just came around. The other boxer just was swinging and it hit him back there, and he went down. And then now he's not a paraplegic, but he's kind of, he's just, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it's absolutely stop it before, as a fan, there's fights and you're like, oh, come on. But
yes,
that's your job.
Right. Right.
Our number one reason for being in there is for the safety of the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Safety of the fighter. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I got through all that, and well, it's making me stronger because the first time I cried like a baby, and the second time I was all right. The third time I was all right, because I know I made the right call.
Right.
And now people don't know that referees, each year we have to renew our license. And there are two things that we have to do. We have to take an eye exam and we have to take a physical. And when I went in for my physical, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Oh.
Now, being as healthy as I was for all the many years that up till this point, that was almost like a knockout punch for me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And didn't know a whole lot about it other than the research that I had to do after that. But my wife kept telling me that she's a wellness coach and health educator. And she said, you're going to beat it. You're going to beat it. And so I changed my diet, started eating healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And for almost a year, I ate healthy. And then when I went in for that PSA check, my numbers were starting to go down, but the cancer was still there. The cancer was still there.
Sure.
And the only threat about the prostate is that if the cancer gets outside of the prostate wall, it can go anywhere. So for my peace of mind, I just decided to have my prostate removed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was May of 2004. Now I got appointed in 91. So now here it is, 2000. So it's 13 years later from when I got appointed. And 3 months after that surgery, September, I got assigned to do Oscar de la Hoya and Bernard Hopkins.
Okay.
And I aced it.
Nice.
And then in, I think it was October, November, I got the assignment to do Eric Morales against Marco Antonio Barrera. I did the third fight, and it was a war. I mean, these guys went at it. All three fights went the distance, and all three fights were wars, like
Wow.
Arturo Gotti and Mickey Ward.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
boy.
kind of war.
Yeah.
And I aced that.
Nice.
And after I aced, those two fights, then my stock just started going up and started,
Sure.
yeah, and never went down after that. I mean, I was the guy at that point in time.
Yeah, looking at your resume, you've
Oh.
done some very impressive.
Yeah, you definitely have a boxer who's who catalog.
Yeah,
Jeez.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I know they're not all, but looking at them, they all look like they're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, the fight for me that I wanted bad, and I found out later that it wasn't hard for the commissioners because, the commissioners, they change over the years.
Okay.
They serve a 3-year term, and they're appointed by the governor, and either they can go from 3 years, and the governor can reassign them for another 3 years, or they're off. And the troubles that I was having early back on, there was a whole new change of commissioners now.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that were keeping me down, they were no longer around anymore.
Oh yeah.
Which was a good thing for me because
Absolutely, very good.
yeah. Now my work can be seen, my work can be recognized, and when the Mayweather Pacquiao fight came up, was a fight that I wanted to get because for me that was kind of would be like a signature fight. I mean, the fight was considered the fight of the century.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back when the last fight of the century was when Ali fought Frazier at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
March, I think March the 7th, 1971.
Oh, let me see what my shirt says. You
Yeah.
are absolutely correct.
And I was standing out in front of the Oakland Coliseum, and there was probably another 100 guys out there, and we were trying to sneak in.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford it. I was in college at the time, and the only thing that I remember seeing is that there was a big roar because I stood out there the whole night. There was a big roar, and that big roar was when Frazier knocked Ali down.
Oh,
Right.
boy.
And when the fight was over, people were exiting out of the Coliseum. So I slipped through a door and went, because this is the first ever pay-per-view fight. And I'm standing there looking at the screen, and they're showing it over and over, Frazier catching him with that left hook and knocking him down. And that's all I saw. It was that left hook knocking him down. So I could imagine.
So it's got to be a little surreal then. You saw that, like, I want to say live, you were there in person.
Yeah.
Then you go to the Hall of Fame and they have that ring.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
It's got to be surreal. It's like kind of like walking back into time for you.
That's exactly right. And it
is.
Oh my
God.
I know. And that's why me and my wife go to the Hall of Fame every year because it's such a fun time.
Yeah.
The fans are fantastic. Ed Brophy and his staff and volunteers do an excellent job. And it's really something a referee friend of mine, Toby Gibson, kept saying to me, Kenny, you need to go to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And I just kind of say, yeah, and just play it off. And I noticed that Lennox Lewis, there was a promoter by the name of Mr. Honda from Japan were being inducted, and Mr. Honda would treat officials the way officials should be treated when you arrive there. And I just wanted to go to support him. And so that was our first. That was in 2009.
Okay.
And we've gone every year. We've only missed 1 year because I had a fight assignment. Pacquiao was fighting Tim Bradley at the MGM.
Okay.
Las Vegas. So I didn't go to that one, but we've gone to every one since.
No kidding. Yeah.
That's
the
awesome.
first time I actually, Tony, did Kenny get to hear my intro from the green room?
He could hear it. I believe he could hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first time I actually got to talk to you, like really talk to you, I was working security. We were at the Turning Stone and they were doing the fist casting.
Yes.
I don't know if you may recall or not. And then Lenore took our picture together. I was like,
okay,
I really want to get a picture with Kenny, you know, and we kind of stuck around and got one. But that's when you and I just, like I said before, when I met you, when me and my wife saw you on the set of Creed 2, we were just taken aback by how personable, how nice of a guy, just how pleasant you were and how you interacted with the crowd. And, you know, it wasn't like, there's some that are like, they don't want, you know, they're above you or you were just normal guy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I met Dolph Lundgren, you know, he was really nice and some others as well, you know, but we were just we talked about it. We still do that. We were taken aback, but when we were talking to you when I was talking to you at the Turning Stone, we were talking about the scene or the long days, the long shootings.
Yes.
Do you have memories or any specific memories of filming that? And then I want to touch base on this because I have a follow-up question with that.
I used to for years say to my wife that acting can't be that difficult because if you mess up on your lines or scenes or anything, they just shoot it over.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to make sure that it's right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, well, actually, it was actually before Creed 2. There was a show called Ray Donovan.
Yeah.
And they had a fight scene.
Okay.
And that's the first time I was ever on a set.
No kidding. Okay.
And the thing that got me was the number of takes. You do them over and over and over and over. And even when you think you've done it right 5 times, they do it over and over. And they change the ring post and they do it again and again and again. And so doing the Ray Donovan kind of woke me up to what movie making is really all about, because we got to the filming was done here in Las Vegas, and I got to the location. It was like 8 in.the morning, and we shot from 9 till like 3 o'clock. And the fight scene when it finally came out in the movie was like 90 seconds. But we shot for 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
So when the Creed job came up, I was somewhat prepared.
Right.
The number of takes.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about going the distance. You got to be ready to go the distance.
Oh my God, Kenny, you remember those were 12 and 14-hour days.
Yes.
And like you said, over and over and over. And it was, us as extras, we would get to the set that we had to be required to be there by like 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. And there were times where we were leaving at 11:30 at night. And I'm not exaggerating, but those were long days. But I was on, my wife and I, we were on the scene where Victor knocks Creed to the mat, and then hits him when he's down on the mat.
Yes.
That's the scene that we were in. I was actually in Adonis's corner as a Barclay security, and my wife was a reporter. And so we got to be near you and see you, and and it was, you were just doing your job. I mean, it couldn't have been, it was just amazing though. Just amazing.
Yeah, well, they did the one take improvise, I guess
that's my question. I wanted to know if you recall that, because that was the very last take. Were you win on it?
They didn't tell me that that's what they were going to do.
Okay.
They wanted to get my natural reaction.
Okay.
So when I asked for, I go through the rules about low blows and whatnots, and then I tell them to touch gloves, and Victor kind of sticks his hands out, but Michael B. Jordan doesn't. So I say touch gloves, and then they get into this little fisticuff thing.
Yeah.
See how I was going to handle it. And so, I jumped between them and pushing them off. And then both camps are jumping in, and there's a whole big ruckus going on. But they didn't use it. So.
No, they didn't. I was looking for the deleted footage on the DVD, and I'm like, oh my God, and I've been dying to talk to you about this. But at the Hall of Fame, we don't have that much time to talk about, to really get into. You're a busy man there. Yeah. But I've been dying to talk to you about it because it replays my mind, because it was complete chaos, but it was controlled chaos, but it was like everybody went up into the ring and my God, it was amazing. It was just, and then afterwards everyone just stood up and applauded, and it was great. Yeah. It was so cool.
Michael B. Jordan is a class act. He's a nice guy. I mean, he made you feel comfortable. I looked out because I was in Creed 3 as well, and I wasn't the one that they had picked. Initially I found out that they wanted a black, a Mexican, and a white, and apparently when they had picked Tony Weeks as the black, and Russell Moore, which is a referee from Nevada as well, as the Mexican. And they were going with two other referees, one from California, one from Arizona. But apparently the scheduling or something didn't work out, and they could not use them. And they ended up calling me back. And that's how I got the opportunity to do Creed 3. So
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Tony.
So Kenny, when you're in the scene, these scenes are going on, and obviously they're fighting, they're throwing jabs, they're throwing this. Is there any blurred lines? I mean, you're acting, they're not really fighting, but you kind of get caught up in it sometimes as a real fight?
Well, yes, and the reason why is because they have rehearsed so well the punches that they're doing. I mean, the television crew, they got cameras shooting from all different angles, and they truly make it look like they're getting hit. And sometimes they'll get, and it didn't happen in the scenes that I did, but the other referees said that sometimes there would be an accidental punch.
Yeah,
because they rehearse it. They know what their punches they're throwing. They just got to be careful.
Sure.
This time he might be a half a foot closer than the time before.
Right.
And if you throw the same punch and he's half a foot closer, then you're going to hit him.
Exactly.
And Florian is a big kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it never happened while I was in the ring. They would come very close. The physicality of breaking them and having to do it over and over. You're going to have to do it because you're shooting the same scene.
Sure.
So you just prepare your mind for what's coming because you know it's coming.
Right.
But yeah, they you can very well get caught up in it because the whole purpose is make it look as real as possible.
Yeah.
And the director at times would ask my input on certain things in regards to keeping it real.
Yeah,
As
making
far
sure
as
it's
the
authentic.
role.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. And we filmed that scene 4 days. That one fight scene, which
Yes.
was what, 2.5 rounds, maybe
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
4 days at 12 to 14 hours, and how long of that was in the movie?
Right.
So
Exactly.
if that's any indication of what
Yeah.
goes into this,
Crazy.
it is. Yeah, Tony, absolutely crazy. It gives you a deeper appreciation of knowing.
Knowing.
I never would have thought that.
Yeah.
No
Well,
way.
I don't say acting is easy anymore.
No. Did you get to pal around with them at all? Like with Dolph, Tessa, Michael, Florian?
No,
No.
yeah. When Creed 3 hit, now one of the actors that was in it is actually an ex-student of mine.
Oh, really?
That was in Creed 3, and he did a little what do they call it? Say it, babe. Like a private screening.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
At one of the theaters, which was fun.
Oh, that's
because me, Russell, and Tony, they had us up front, and people could ask us questions. And,
very cool.
Engage with us, and yeah,
that's amazing.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh,
very
man.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, like Rick said, our show is based on a lot more on Rocky films and the round 14 scene in Rocky, and you are forever in Rocky land lore now, being in Creed 2, and also though you were connected in another way in earlier with Antonio Tarver and Roy Jones Jr. because Antonio Tarver was in Rocky Balboa, so it was connected in other ways in real life and in film.
Yeah. Matter of fact, and we had a little club fight here last night, and Tarver was actually at the fight last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was able to kick it with him for a little bit last night.
Oh, that's cool. He's so nice. I met him a few years ago at the collectible show, and actually I got a picture with him right over here on the wall. And I've been trying to get a hold of him. I would love to have him come on as well.
Okay, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I got to get a hold of him. And is there a fight? I remember I talked to you a couple times, throughout the week. And is there a fight or two that just stick in your mind that are like, I don't want to say your favorites, but like, your top? You know what I'm getting at?
I know what you're getting at because I'm asked that question all the time, and people say, which is the best? Where there's just a lot because I've been blessed to do a lot of great fights. But the one that I share is Manny Pacquiao when he fought Ricky Hatton.
Okay.
And the reason why I picked that one is because both fighters bring fans. Manny Pacquiao will bring a ton of Filipino fans, and Ricky Hatton will bring the Brits. And to have the Filipinos and the Brits in the same arena.
I'm talking about very passionate people.
And the noise level in there is just obscene. But at the end of the first round, it was so loud because Manny Pacquiao knocked Ricky Hatton down twice.
Okay.
And it was so loud and so electrifying in there that when I went back to my neutral corner, I could feel my heart racing.
Oh, wow. Adrenaline was all pumped up.
Having an adrenaline rush like you can't imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there in my corner and the people are just going, and I'm sitting, I'm saying to myself, calm down because the bell is getting ready to ring. And you got to go back out there.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go back out there frantic. You want to go
Right.
back out there calm and relaxed like you did, like the way we train.
Sure.
So when the bell rang, the nervousness left. Again, it was an action-packed round. They both didn't have to look for each other. They were both standing in the middle of the ring going at it, and Manny caught Ricky Hatton with a shot, one of those laid out shots. I just motioned to Manny to the neutral corner and walked around, got in position so I could pick up the count if I needed to or stop it. And at that point, Ricky wasn't making any attempt to get up. He was stretched out, and that's when I stopped him.
So when the fighter hits, okay, there's the punch, and then the fighter hits the mat, and then you have to turn to send the other fighter to the neutral corner. Are you counting silently in your head, or does the count start when you turn back to the fighter who's on the ground?
Well, I don't initially keep a count, and the reason why is because of the timekeeper.
Okay.
When a fighter hits the canvas, the timekeeper will stand up and will count, and hit the mat, we'll start counting.
Okay.
And then when I look over at the timekeeper, I'm going to pick the count up from them.
That's what I wanted to know, because I've seen that so many times where, the ref will be like 4, and I'm like, well, how did you come into 4? I didn't know that the timekeeper was keeping count on the mat. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's no knowledge I never knew.
Has it happened where I looked over at the timekeeper and they didn't pick up the count?
Oh no.
Yes. It rarely happens.
Right.
Now I'm gonna have to just create a count.
Okay.
Because it's on me.
Yeah.
But I think that may have happened once in my 32 years in the ring.
Okay. 32 years.
Wow.
Yeah. They have to pick that count up, and I have to look at them and take the count from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kenny, 32 years and deservedly so in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. And you are one of the top. I mean, and not in anybody's opinion, it's facts. You are one of in the top few boxing referees that, I mean, you're legendary, and you earned it. You earned it with every blood, sweat, and tear of those 32 years. And it was a pleasure hearing your stories and having you on. But yeah, like you had mentioned earlier, Joe Cortez or Mills Lane. I remember Mills Lane back from when they were doing a lot, he did Tyson fights in Holyfield. But and you hear that, and and very few refs, the name and the person.
Right.
But you're up there, my friend. You're up there in the top 3 as far as I'm concerned.
You're on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Agree. Perfect, Rick. Agreed.
Yeah. You are on the Mount Rushmore without a doubt.
We could not thank you enough for being on, though. We loved having you on. We loved hearing your stories, and it was a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you on again sometime if you have more stories you ever want to share. I know you're retired. You're going to go have some fun. You and the missus.
Whenever you want me, just give me a jingle and we'll set it up.
You got it. Yeah, when you get back from vacay, let me know.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah. We're leaving, going to Europe for an extended vacation. We'll be gone for 6 weeks, and
nice.
We'll come back right around August, second week of August.
Good.
Well, you enjoy yourself, my friend. You earned it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it.
You so much.
All right. You bet.
Well, see, now that we had to stop it eventually. I didn't want to. I felt bad. I'm like, how much longer are we going to keep him on? I mean, let's go another hour.
I know. Tony, when we get these.
Me. I mean, I would have talked. I would have just kept going. I mean, I wanted to hear. First of all, he ref Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. You look at his boxing
resume.
Yeah, they're every other fight. And then of course he
I mean, you sent it to me. You sent it to me, and I mean, I wish I was just knew this right off the top of my head, but we're talking Tarver, Jones, De La Hoya, Hopkins, Morales, Pacquiao, Sugar Shane Mosley,
it's crazy.
Ricky Hatton, Cotto,
De La Hoya, and Mayweather. I mean, like he said, when he finally got appointed and he earned what he got up there, he got these fights. He didn't get Joe Schmo fights. He got the names. I mean, he also, he had Fury and Wilder.
Yeah,
Mayweather and Canelo. But it's what a, I loved his work as a ref. I've seen him ref before, and of course in the film. But talking to him, and you had said what a nice man he was, and he definitely proved that.
Absolutely, just a gentleman, and
absolutely,
his wife Lenora is just wonderful people. They're just
very
wonderful
cool
people.
Well, hope they enjoy their vacation in Europe for a few weeks. Like you said, maybe this fall we'll have them back on. We could talk.
Yeah, Lenora, I hope you're feeling better. She was
not feeling well.
Yeah, she was down and out for a little while, but I hope you're feeling better.
Well, good stuff, my friend. This was a good one. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. And we're going to have him on again. I mean, he had already said, we could reach out to him and throw him a ring, and he'll be back on. So having said that, if you have questions that you'd like to hear us ask Kenny regarding Creed 2 or regarding any of the fights, Pacquiao fights or Mayweather, any questions in particular, as you always know, put them down in the comments, message us on Instagram, email us if you want. And we will get on them. But like I said, we'll probably have them on maybe September, October, something like that, 6 months or so. All right, buddy. Well, this was a good one, my friend. I'm so glad we did this. Yeah. So glad. Awesome. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for watching.
Take care.